Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's Christina from Our Wood Home. Today I'm sharing another piece of vintage advice with you. This is originally a radio broadcast called Homemaker's Chat, released by the United States Department of Agriculture. This particular bulletin was released on June 16, 1939, and its title is Butter and Eggs, Information from the Bureau of Home Economics, United States Department of Agriculture. Let's get into what this radio broadcast says. Today I'm bringing you some news about two of the oldest and most popular of all foods on the market. I have some notes about the supply of butter and eggs, and since my notes show that no matter how you add it, there's a big supply of both, I'm passing on to you a few suggestions from the Federal Bureau of Home Economics for buying and using eggs and butter. So, first for the news of the supply. Hens would probably cackle more loudly, and the cows give 3 cheering moos if they could read the eggs and butter statistics of the United States. For the totals show that so far this year, the butter supplies of the nation have been much more plentiful than usual, and the poultry flocks the country over have been settling new egg-laying records. The next time you check a dozen eggs off your grocery list, here are some of the food values you are getting according to the nutrition specialists. Eggs are one of the protective foods needed in every diet. They are among the best of the bodybuilders, and for that reason it is recommended that, when eggs are cheap and plentiful, 1 or more a day may be used to advantage by every member of the family. Of course, that number includes the eggs you use in cooking. In any roll call of food values, eggs answer present to proteins of excellent quality, important minerals, and to at least 5 of the vitamins in varying amounts. Eggs, especially the yolks, are an outstanding source of iron, a mineral in which many diets are low. They are also rich in calcium and phosphorus. Vitamins that occur in eggs are vitamins A, B1, D, G, and the pelagram preventing factor. All of the vitamin A and D value of an egg is in its yolk. The amount of either one present depends upon the food the hen has had to eat. But contrary to some impressions, the color of the yolk is no clue to its food value. For pale yolks and more deeply colored yolks may be equally good sources of important vitamins and minerals. That's the short story of the food value that lies beneath the fragile shell of an egg. Now for a few tips on selection from one of the men in charge of government grading of eggs for quality. He says that consumers looking for good eggs on the market will do well to place more stress on the way an egg has been handled than on either its age or the color of its shell. For instance, an egg left in a warm nest all day, then kept in a warm place at night, will be less fresh at 24 hours than an older egg that's been kept cool. The color of the shell has nothing to do with either egg quality or food value. Some breeds of hen lay eggs with darker brown shells than others because they deposit more pigment in them. That is significant is the condition of the shell. If you're going to use eggs immediately, the ones with thin, defective, or cracked shells may be satisfactory, but those that are to be kept for any time should be free of these imperfections because such eggs deteriorate rapidly. In many stores, you'll be able to buy eggs graded by local, state, or federal standards. These grades are not uniform now from state to state, but more and more concerns are adopting the standard grades set up by the United States Department of Agriculture. Here's a reminder about taking care of eggs at home. Soon as you bring eggs home from the store, put them into the refrigerator, but not necessarily in the coldest spot. They should not be put near highly scented foods because they absorb odors and flavors. If the shells are soiled, wipe the eggs off with a dry cloth. Do not wash them because the water will remove the bloom of the egg that forms a natural seal for the pores of the shell. Now, just a word or two about butter, the other half of my news for today. Every meal, to make it satisfactory, should have in it some kind of fat so that it will stay by. Butter is an excellent fuel food. It also contains vitamins A and some vitamin D. Its distinctive flavor makes it a desirable spread, and it is commonly used as a shortening agent and to season many vegetables. Butter, like eggs, needs to be kept in the refrigerator. Butter should go into the coldest spot, away from foods with strong flavors or odors. Each year, the amount of butter that has been graded for quality increases on the market. Top-notch butter that has been given a score of 93 or 92 by state federal graders carries with it a certificate of quality, giving both its score and the date of grading. Of course, that's not the whole story on butter or eggs either, but it's all the news and suggestions I have time for today. And now let me remind you again of the big news that started this broadcast. The butter supplies of the nation have been much more plentiful than usual this year, and poultry flocks across the country over have been doing themselves proud, setting new egg-laying records. That's the end of that radio broadcast. I hope that you found it interesting. I think there's definitely some good information in there, but maybe things are a little bit different now. For example, if you're getting eggs from your backyard chickens, it's totally fine to leave them out at room temperature. I can't speak to getting fresh dairy from cows from your backyard because that's not something I have, but I think the advice given is still good because presumably at this point in time, in 1939, more and more people were relying on grocery stores or maybe local farmers to get their eggs and butter. So the advice was to refrigerate it as soon as possible because that was just setting a good standard for all of the suppliers across the board. I like reading and learning about how things were done in the past, just because it's interesting to see how far we've come and what new information we've learned since then. As I said, this radio broadcast was put out in 1939, so a lot of things have changed since then. I think it's also important to say, just because we read something or listen to something from the past doesn't mean we should necessarily be implementing that in present day. Of course, there's some really good advice in some of my other vintage homemaking advice videos that I think is still applicable today, but I would just say to use caution if you decide to try any of the tips or tricks or advice given in any of these videos, because again, it's vintage advice. Things have changed since then. We know more now than we did back then. Anyways, all that to say, I really enjoy doing these vintage homemaking advice videos because I think it's interesting. I hope that you do as well. I will link the full playlist for the vintage homemaking advice videos at the end here, so if you wanted to take a look at that, you are more than welcome. And of course, if you like what you see here on my channel, please consider subscribing. If you're already subscribed, make sure you turn on notifications on YouTube and on your device so that you never miss an upload. Thank you again for watching and have a great rest of your day.